We are back again with the Big Book of Bull and more information for you. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Did you ever think that we would get to day 75? That's exactly where we are. And I want to share a few little things with you today. It is day 75 for Nancy Guthrie. Now, my darlings, I want to talk to you about something because, I don't sleep. And I get up and I watch some things. And I watched J.D. Vance make a statement. And it had something to do with Erica Kirk. And yes, I'm going to put an update on True Oracle on that one. But he briefly mentioned Savannah being harassed. He called out a particular party. I don't believe that this is party driven. But why would J.D. Vance recognize this? Why would he? He did not have to say anything at all. Why would he say something? He just basically said, yes, it's just like Savannah being harassed, and then he went on to say this particular sentence having to do with Erica Kirk, and I'll talk to you more about it over there. And that's because this is bigger than what you think. It is bigger than what you think. Now, I see many of you that have been in the comments talking about a particular person on a particular YouTube show, podcast, saying certain particular things. Everybody's getting all jazzed up and whatever. Listen, there's a problem there. And I don't want you to take it for a grain of salt, because there are some things that sort of kind of ring true. But I want you to know that authorities watch everything. And I want you to take into consideration now, the more that this goes on, the more that you're probably going to see a lot of things, and a lot of things that are very uncomfortable. We have to ask what the benefit is in many places, in many things, to make a claim. Now, I'm not saying that this person is lying. I don't do that, because he knows his truth. I'm just saying I am well aware of what's being said. It was actually told to me, some things that were going to be said before this even came about. And I just want you to know, don't get off track. Don't veer this way and veer this way, and this one has thrown me off, and oh yeah, now I believe this. Stay steady on the course. Don't let the tide take you. You stay steady on your course when it comes to Nancy. Now, I'm going to get into a few little things in a little more way here that I want you to see where there's a connection. Okay? This epi guy had a connection with the 3-letter agency. I'm not going to name them, and please don't put that in the comments, because it'll be held and nobody will see it anyway. But he has a connection, and it's such a deep connection that even this 3-letter agency was questioning, does he belong to us or does he not? Or does he belong to a particular country that has blue and white? I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying. That is the question. because even some of the things on the island were blue and white. So what does this have to do with anything? Well, I'm going to take you further down the bunny trail. And that is the ex-prince was also a person that you could probably say, I don't know, supposedly, allegedly, an info broker. Just like this Epi guy. This is why they don't want attention. Now, they have so much evidence, the powers that be, but it's kind of funny because now, even today, you are seeing the name pizza come in to play on some media, and the word frazzle. .rip. Now, that is not a website. That is a reference that was on someone's laptop that had connections to the Clintocks, who had connections to the Epi guy, who had connections to, through a husband that was a cleaner. Now, here's what I'm doing. I'm putting out the roadmap. You can decide. You can decide what you want to know or what you don't or what you will believe or whatever. Okay? Because I'm just here to entertain you. And hopefully this is. Now, why would this person be so upset about a 2019 interview? Because it upset the apple cart. Because you see, if these people are information brokers, now what is an information broker? I'm going to tell you. Let's just say you're in a restaurant and there's somebody there, they're wanting to order and they're eating, they're sitting down and they're going to have something to eat. You're in a foreign country. The waiter comes up. May I take your order? Gives you the menu. He walks away. Another person comes up. They start talking. And this fellow here, the waiter, overhears things. Oh, and it's juicy. Ah, it may have some state secrets or something even deeper. So what does this do? This guy may go to the French consulate. He may go to the English consulate. He may go to the American consulate. He may go to every one of them in his particular country and say, hey, I've got a little bit of dirt. I'll sell it to you. And each one of them gives him a few dollars for the info. That's an info broker. Now, this is on a much smaller scale. Over here with these guys, it was huge. They were dealing in commodities. But Zelda, they weren't into oil or sugar or anything like that. Sugar is a commodity, you know. Sugar or anything like that. Well, it is, but not the type of commodity that they are dealing in. You see, they were big in the traffic department. You know, traffic, green light, red light, caution light, be cautious, be careful, green light go, red light stop. And when this interview took place in 2019 with a young woman who laid it on the table, and others have been hinting, but she laid it on the table. She was the frosting on the cake in 2019. Because in 2018, he had already been busted for, I don't know, talking about things going forward, what lane to transport commodities, what traffic department that they needed to transport them to, and all the while working with different entities, different governments, different things. And then you've got somebody down here. Well, you see, this guy's brother, who happens to be the king, but certainly not the king of kings, tossed him under the bus because this guy happened to bring one of those commodity back to some castle property. And when you do that, that is a violation, because it is my understanding that that's kind of giving up state secrets. And that's a big no-no. No, you don't want to do that. But the prince did. He felt he had the green light. He felt he was untouchable. And he got busted. Now let's go back over to here. The epicenter of movement. We're just going to say that. The epicenter of movement. A much bigger thing. Not just this one guy doesn't like what he hears. He doesn't want a wrench thrown into the gear. And by this interview, it threw the ex-prince the wrench in the gear. And believe me, they're stacking charges on this guy. There's a good chance he could spend the rest of his life in prison. And the king could step in. But now the king is ill. And most likely he won't. And if the king steps down and his son takes over, his son is going to say, bye-bye. They will make the cut. You see, since the queen passed in whatever eloquence she had, the prince was the queen's golden child. Kind of got away from everything. She paid his fine. She paid his dues. But unfortunately, she's gone. The king is certainly not in any type of health to step in and say, no, we're going to work this out. We haven't heard anything about him. In the meantime, we have an epicenter over here that now comes over to actors, singers, politicians, law enforcement agents, other agencies that probably we haven't even heard of, and provides not only information, but kind of gets a little, okay, now don't do it again, because you see, that's what happened in 2018. And it's because he was more valuable on the outside, and a lot of people just kind of sort of let him go. So it was 2019 that things started popping, 2018 into 2019, because there was a particular meeting that the epicenter guy, the epicenter president, let's call him that, the epicenter president asked this lady's husband, ex-husband, who knows, husband, if he could have a meeting. Now, why would he want a meeting with him? Because Mike was a scrubber, scrubbed information off the internet. It's pretty well known. He asked the McClintocks, Hill McClintock, Bill McClintock, if that could possibly happen. We don't know. But for that to happen, her hubbalicious, the scrubber, would not only know all of these small secrets, he would know all the big ones too, including these and this. So it would not be if he could do the job, it would be, would he be allowed to do the job? And what information he would be allowed to know and not to know. In the meantime, the proverbial wrench, that's a bad wrench, isn't it? The proverbial wrench was thrown into the gear in 2019 when Ginny came to the table. Now, Ginny lost her life. It's very sad. But Ginny knew things. Why did she know things? Well, because it's my understanding that Ginny was with the ex-prince who took her to the castle, as well as many other commodities. And yes, they went down the roads that they normally did in the traffic department. And they passed through the green lights, the red lights, and the yellow lights and got to the castle. For any of you who remember Pat Paulson, there was a saying that he used to say, "The wind blew, the crap flew, and you're only here for a day or two." That's pretty much how it works. So why, let's back up here, why her? Well, because she brought Ginny to the table. And it was right after, and we talked about this, it was right after 380 gallons of sulfuric acid. Do we think that we're ever going to find Nancy maybe in one piece? I don't. I had someone come into my comments. I really felt bad for them. This was something that they just could not fathom. And they were actually talking about the interview that I was talking about with Huda, and Savannah. And ripped me a good one. Told me how insensitive I am and how this didn't happen at all. And when they are found, when this person is found not to be involved, she's going to come back and she's going to rip me a new one. Well, first of all, she's not going to be able to because, well, she has been blocked. She went to the moat. And I feel sad because that's the unfortunate part. There's still some people that just don't know. But all of this, it was the timing, my darlings, not so much the people, but the timing. So now we pop over to 2025. And it was a Google trend search coming out of Grand Junction. Junction. All right, okay. All right, Zelda. Grand Junction, Colorado. That was searching 100% for Nancy Guthrie. Not only from December until close to mid-January, it was Nancy, it was her address, it was pictures, it was the layout, the lay of the land, maps, location. And there is a big connection between this, and Grand Junction, Colorado, to the epicenter. And if you don't think these things are big enough, here's a little tidbit of information. Someone asked, do I feel that the couple from the epicenter, you know, Miss G, as well as the president of the epicenter, you know, the epi guy, are they still alive? I feel so. Also want to give you another little tidbit, and maybe some of you may not have seen this. A young lady by the name of Jean-Benet Ramsey has a couple of photographs or portraits that were found on the island with the epicenter guy. And the lady friend was seen at one of their pageants with Jean-Benet Ramsey. Listen, this is why that person has never been found. Perhaps this is why, and that also stems out of Colorado. Think about it now. Connections. Okay, so how would this happen then? These people never do their own dirty work. They always employ people that are close in proximity, the people that perhaps maybe sort of kind of have an issue or maybe even a grudge. Nancy knew who they were. And in my opinion, not fact, but in my opinion, this is why the crime scene is clean. This is why there was not anything more than what we see there. This is why there are some things that just seriously don't make sense. You lock the front door, but then you prop the back doors open. And here's another thing, and we've talked about this before. After some family members went to the house, they looked around, they made all these phone calls to the hospital, to the police, and then they call another family member in New York before she's getting ready to get onto a plane and go to the Olympics. And she said, "What do you mean? What are you doing? How many hours was it? You just don't call your big sister?" What did they do in that time? The police didn't take it real seriously. But if you go there and you think that she's an endangered elder, let's just say, and you see doors that are propped open, don't you ask questions? My grandmother had dementia. If she wanted to elope, she would not stand and prop open doors with pots, meaning plant pots, before she just went off into the wild blue yonder. Doesn't work that way. And then, once again, I still have that question about the card that was in the door. I'm hearing some things about that, but from my understanding, it was there January 31st from Adult Protective Services. Why? Who called them? Usually it has to be a phone call, okay? They don't just randomly, it's not coincidence that they just randomly come over to Nancy's. 5820. Let's drop a card off, say hello. It doesn't work that way. There's too many open ends. And my darlings, I'm not so sure we'll find that open end. And even in the end, it may just happen like Utah, where in Utah, there was a replacement for something that happened on the event of September 10th. And that plan, that plan didn't go as what they feel should have. But ironically enough, there's a little something that goes from Utah back to the epicenter. And all the while, we are told that laptops are still being looked into. We have enough. We have enough. We can convict people now without a body on circumstantial evidence. And yet, how long have we been waiting for? And we have AGs that no longer are into the attorney generals no longer into their offices, replacements happening, everything. Well, honey, what do you think that is? And who stepped in the middle of this poop pile? Why would that happen to Nancy? Well, it's a little message in a clean envelope. And it's not only the message to her, but it's a message to others. You don't put your nose in where it ain't supposed to be. Do I believe that they hired the epicenter, hired someone? Yes. Do I believe that they lied to the people that were closest to Nancy to get a job done? Oh, definitely. Do I believe they've been paid? No, not now, not handsomely, and they're going to be left to hold the bag. That's what happens. And now we have to wait and see what happens. We are at day 75. I'm not going to give up on this. We're going to still keep looking, and I'm going to share with you everything that I can have to come out. But back to that person in that podcast. I think it's brave for that podcaster to bring someone on like that. I don't know if I would be that brave. I'm just going to tell you. Because that's a good way to get things like hello and demonetized and problems and, whatever. I just want you to listen carefully. Okay? Nobody has to go wild and put in the oh my gosh, did you hear this? And believe me, honey, I'm on top of things. I'm listening. I'm looking. Because that's what you got to do when you do research. And believe me, I've got so much more research than this. But listen, this is how it all ties in. You may have to watch this a couple of times now. But this epicenter guy, oh, it was much bigger, my darlings. And that's why there's a problem here. And that's why she's the result. Why? Why do you pick on someone? Because first of all, she's helpless. Couldn't fight back. But why would you fight someone who knew? That's what I'm thinking. Let's get the cards out. I'm ready. I know you are. Here we are back again. Please do me a favor. Be kind in the comments. Okay? I know you all are. I have the best chat. Do you know that? I've got the best chat in the tubes of you. I love you guys. And you know what? This is so interesting. And I love the fact that you're interested as well. Don't forget, join me Saturday night at 7 p.m. I got something that's going to kind of blow your socks off. It's not really crime related. It might be. It might be. But you're going to love it. And you know what? There's rumor that I just may start that series, Help, I'm Haunted Again. Let me know in the comments if you want me to start that rumor. If you want me to start that playlist, that series again, put a yes in the comments if you want me to start that again. And I go live and I tell stories about my paranormal escapades. Today we've got the tarot, the gypsy witch, no witch, lots of cats, definitely full moons, and cauldrons of tea, and we have the cartomancy. Now one day I'm just going to read the cartomancy for you. I'm just going to show you how it's done. We have the key, and yes, don't know if you can see them or not. There's a little whisker here, and they're always leaving me whiskers. Be blessed with that. Be blessed. There's like 3 of them in there in the hand of fate. All right, we're going to put him here. Now we're just going to have kind of a speed round. Okay? Speed round, and look, he wants to come out. We're going to take it. That is family, memories, a cup, which is emotional. And this little girl who has an image, it's not really very well shown, on the side of her head, that could be two-faced. A boy and a girl. You see the energy here? We're going to take what's up, and we're going to take the card on the bottom of this because it fell on this one. So here we are. An offer of money. Let's see what these are on the bottom. Oh boy. Setting boundaries. During Mercury. Was this during a Mercury retrograde? I think it was. This air sign element of this young man who is the Page of Swords, standing there saying, okay, bring it. More is coming. This Devil card comes out, and it's right beside this family card of creating memories. You know, you can create a memory that doesn't necessarily have to be good, right? Well, the fact that this card is laying there beside it, this is also the sign of Capricorn. Now listen, you Capricorns, I love you because you're not devils, right? You're focused. Sometimes you're too focused. One thing I love about Capricorns is that you expect people to do what they say they're going to do. And you do not like people that hurt others just because they can. I love that. My son happens to be a Capricorn, and many people that I love happen to be Capricorns. But this, you see, this is technically not a devil, it's a Baphomet, but okay. How they are chained to the box that this Baphomet is sitting on. Even has a little cross in the palm of his hand. That is blasphemy. You see the wings going off the frame of the card means that we're not done yet, and then we have it right beside this page that says, bring it on. We're not done yet. Bring it on. There's more communication coming. Now, this card here, this Magician card, basically is saying they have every tool at their beck and call. Every one at their beck and call in order to make the decisions to do what they need to do to find her. I believe there's a hesitation, and that's because of this card. It's putting up boundaries. Well, don't go near her house. Don't park there. We don't want any citizens looking for her. We don't want anything. We don't want you involved. We made this huge. We made this a worldwide event, but how dare you be committed? We want our privacy now. Don't think you're not allowed to have an opinion, so we're going to put up the boundaries. I still, in my opinion, feel it's an inside job, and I still feel that there's been some things that have been covered up, possibly, sort of, kind of, maybe, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't have the facts. Entertainment, right? But while there is an effort to put up a boundary, things are still growing. See, that's the whole thing. Things are still growing. This can mean that it's growing out of proportion. It's growing out of control. And you're doing the best you can. This is a fire element, and they're getting creative. So it's like, well, if you park here, we're going to arrest you. If you go near here, we're going to arrest you. If you look in our way, we're going to arrest you. If you go past the mailbox at Nancy's and have a body function, we're going to arrest you. Yeah, it's getting a little ridiculous, right? That's my opinion. That's not fact. Body functions have entered the video. Here we are. Please do me a favor and subscribe. Thank you. And hit that like button, my darlings. Put your DNA there, wherever it is, on the like button. Thank you. All right. Will we know more of the people that are close to Nancy? Will we see signs and wonders of the people that are close to Nancy? Will we see this? This is a card none of you haven't seen before. A couple of these cards, my darlings. This King of Clubs, I'm going to say, is one of the perps. But this bear is a sign that we are successful, that we are on the right track in our speculation. Pretty amazing, isn't it? This tree gives us health. Well, it could, but it gives us help and understanding, and I'm going to say the highest hopes here, and the understanding that you see this 3 of clubs is all about personal financial stability. But this tree, and there's a house near it, could it be the family tree? And now we have another king. And we have a message coming from this king, who is an air sign, who is, well, that is technically the sign of Libra, but I don't think it is going to be, it's going to be limited to the sign of Libra. This is going to be this envelope coming in. This is a message that is about to be coming from somebody who is vocal, and here we are. And one thing I didn't mention about this Magician card, there is the motto there of as above, so below. And look, little Moisha's hands. This letter is going to be bringing news and perhaps some fortune, about a fortune, about money, about, we're going to keep these here, we're going to keep these here because we want to look at the bottom, and then we're going to say, give us what we need to know for today. I know what I'm going to ask you. Energy, what do you think about the caller and that one particular? Now, listen, I'm not cutting anybody down, okay? Just want you to know. But let's read on that caller. Let's read on that. Because I believe that podcaster is a very nice guy. And he's got a very kind heart. And he wants to see Nancy found. And he's skeptical, which he should be. Now that's a confirmation there. And that is confirmation there. And there is the female. So what this means, my darling, is this. That 9 of Hearts is all about earned wealth. Perhaps not enough, because it's not in the category of riches. It's just what you earn, needing to be stable. But now we have this fellow who is connected with this fellow. And the unfortunate part of this, we're going to separate these so you can see them. The unfortunate part of this is, this card right here is a gambling card. Gambling with a situation, even a casino gamble. And at first it shows that they had a small win, but long term, that small win is gambled and no longer a small win. So it's a confirmation of the 2 characters, the 2 perps that are involved. we will be hearing more, I'm going to say, about earnings, wealth, could even be more of a letter to TMZ. And then we have this person over here, another person who has wealth on her mind. And then we have a confirmation that these people are together. And this bear is telling us that our speculation is on track. Let's see what... so things we will start seeing coming in out of the blue. Information out of the blue. Growing to the point of, but I think there's going to be conversations about open doors again. But that's pretty creative as far as I'm concerned. And that's what these wands are telling us. Rapidly, quickly coming out of the blue. But get ready. News that will be a breath. It could be happiness. But it's basically saying that we need to be... Oh boy. This is one of those dual cards, because it basically says we need to be cautious with happiness because of its near not so good cards, which these aren't really so good. They're not negative, but they're not so good. It can basically say that the dark side of things will become more prevalent. Wow. Just wow. And now we will be hearing some communication from a female, and they could be one and the same. But I'm also going to say this. This is the sign, and I'm going to say this is Nancy. This is the sign, an air sign. And for her to come up, I feel that they're going to want to keep this in the news for a little bit longer. They're going to want to see what's going on. They want to keep it in the news. That's the way it is. I hope this helps you, my darlings. Let's find Nancy. I'm bringing you more. Step on over. I'll announce the other videos on the community tabs. Like, subscribe. And here is another video that's going to help you catch up. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.